The shadows of the grandmother. The house where Diana grew up was old, its walls cracked, and its heavy wooden doors groaned whenever they opened, as if they carried the burden of secrets. By day, the house seemed ordinary, but at night it transformed into something uncanny, as if the walls whispered hidden truths. On the day her grandmother died, Diana felt that something dark remained in the house, as if the departing soul had not left completely. From that day on, the air grew heavier, the nights colder, and anyone who entered felt an inexplicable shiver. The house seemed to swallow the breath of its inhabitants, hiding unseen things in its corners. As a child, Diana was innocent, fond of playing in the garden, but she feared the basement where her grandmother lived. In that dim room, the grandmother kept an old wooden chest, never allowing anyone to touch it. Whenever Diana approached, she felt a strange chill, as if something repelled her. She didn't understand why, but she knew that room was unlike the others. After her grandmother's death, the chest remained sealed, holding a dark secret waiting to be uncovered. Years passed, and Diana grew older, but the house still carried its mysteries. One night, while studying, she glimpsed a shadow moving slowly near the door. She turned quickly, but found nothing. Her heart raced, yet she tried to convince herself it was an illusion. But the shadow returned night after night, each time clearer, until she saw the figure of an old woman staring at her from afar, her grandmother's face, unmistakable. When Diana told her family, they dismissed her fears. They said she was tired or influenced by the stories she read. But the shadows did not stop. They followed her even in daylight. She saw her grandmother's reflection in mirrors, felt her presence behind her in the hallways. Fear consumed her, robbing her of sleep, and with every denial from her family, the shadows grew stronger, feeding on disbelief. The mirrors became the most terrifying objects in the house. Whenever Diana looked, she saw not herself, but her grandmother's reflection. Clear features, unyielding eyes, watching from another world. She tried to avoid mirrors, but every room had one. Over time, she felt the entire house was watching her, and she was never truly alone. Her dreams turned into nightmares. At first, they were strange images, but soon they became vivid scenes. She saw her grandmother seated before a black book, lighting candles and chanting incomprehensible words. She saw distorted faces of people in pain and realized her grandmother had practiced sorcery, harming others. Each dream left her drained, as if she had lived through a real nightmare. In one dream, she found herself in a dark room she had never seen, yet felt it belonged to their house. The walls were covered in strange writings. Black candles flickered, casting eerie shadows. Her grandmother sat hunched, trembling hands flipping through the black book. The words she muttered weighed heavily on Diana's heart, like incantations from another realm. Around her were twisted faces, crying, reaching out for help. Diana realized these were not mere dreams, but memories of her grandmother's rituals, lingering in the house. Terrified, Diana decided not to remain a prisoner of fear. That night, she sat in her room, clutching the Quran by her bed. She began reciting Ayat al-Kursi, her voice trembling, each word like a blade cutting through the dark. Suddenly, the air shifted, and the shadows retreated slightly. But they did not vanish. They grew angrier. She heard her grandmother's voice hiss, "You cannot escape me." Tears streamed down Diana's face, but she raised her voice, defying the unseen presence. The next day, the house itself seemed to rebel. Doors slammed shut on their own. Windows rattled violently. Heavy footsteps echoed in the halls. Even small objects, chairs, framed pictures, seemed to move subtly, watching her. Every corner carried menace. Every room became a trap. The house was no longer a home, but a living nightmare. Her grandmother had not died. She had become part of the walls, breathing through them. Diana began to doubt herself. Was she imagining it? Had she lost her mind? She sat before the mirror, staring at her face, whispering, "Am I truly seeing this or inventing it?" Yet whenever she tried to dismiss it, the shadows appeared undeniably. She felt trapped between madness and faith, knowing deep inside that this was no illusion. The Quran was her only refuge. That night, she sat in the center of her room, Quran in hand, darkness pressing in. She felt the walls closing, the air thickening. She recited aloud, her trembling voice growing stronger with each verse. The words became light, piercing the gloom. The shadows faltered, shifting uneasily, searching for a way back. Diana realized the Quran was not mere words, but a fortress against evil. In another dream, her grandmother appeared, furious, eyes glowing like embers. "You cannot escape me. This is our house, our blood," she snarled. Diana trembled, but she did not yield. She recited the protective chapters. "Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of the Dawn. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind." The words flew like arrows, the darkness cracked, and her grandmother screamed, dissolving into shadow. Diana awoke, certain now that the Quran was her weapon. By day, she confronted the chest. Opening it, she found old papers covered in symbols, dried blood, small bones, knotted strings, and black cloth reeking of decay. She recoiled, nauseated, but understood. This chest was the source of evil, remnants of her grandmother's sorcery. She shut it quickly, but the horror lingered in her mind. With each recitation, the house revealed more. Symbols etched faintly into walls, stains beneath the floors, remnants of rituals hidden in corners. The house was not a dwelling, but a prison of sorcery. Diana resolved to cleanse it. She sat in the center, reciting Surah al-Baqarah in full. Her voice rose, verses filled the house with light. The walls trembled, shadows shrieked, windows burst open as if fleeing. The battle reached its peak, light overpowering darkness. When she finished, the house sighed, releasing a long groan, then fell silent. Days of persistent recitation followed. Her dreams changed. No longer did she see her grandmother laughing. Instead, she saw her screaming, dissolving into blackness. The voices vanished. The house grew calm. Even the air felt lighter, as if freed from a heavy burden. Diana knew the battle was won, though the scars remained. She gathered her family, telling them everything: the dreams, the chest, the rituals, and how the Quran saved her. At first they doubted, but they saw the change in the house, the peace restored. Some wept, others sat in stunned silence. All realized this was no fantasy, but a dark truth Diana had faced bravely. She warned them, sorcery and witchcraft are paths to ruin, opening doors that cannot be closed. Her grandmother had been lost to it, leaving behind a legacy of darkness that nearly consumed them. She urged them to cling to Islam, to prayer, to the Quran. She reminded them that the Quran is light that dispels shadows, and prayer is the fortress protecting hearts from whispers. To stray from God is to surrender to demons. Salvation lies only in closeness to Him. The story ended in peace, but its message endured. No matter how strong the darkness, the light of the Quran is stronger. Sorcery brings only destruction. Diana learned that faith is the true weapon, and those who abandon God leave themselves prey to shadows. The house was calm again, but the memory of those nights remained etched in her heart, a lasting warning against sorcery, and an eternal call to Islam, prayer, and the Quran.